Hey guys, you're welcome back to my channel today. Thank you so much for stopping by. In this video, we'll be cutting and sewing these two pieces that you can see on your screen. So this is a continuation video of my last tutorial. If you've not seen the last tutorial that I uploaded, I'll leave the link in the comment section. So in this tutorial, I'll be cutting out the inner, that is the top inside the dress, and I'll go ahead and start taking my points. The first point I'll take is the distance from my shoulder to my bust point, which is 10 inches. The next point is the distance from my shoulder to the blouse length, which is 18 inches. After doing that, I'll take half of my shoulder measurement and I'll go down on that point by 1 inch from my shoulder slope. I'll slant from there into the neckline area. The next thing I'll do is to get my armhole depth. To do that, I'll place my tape after the shoulder slope and I'll go down by my round armhole circumference divided by 2, which is 8 inches. I'll indicate the 8 inches with a dot. On that 8 inches dot, I'll mark half of my shoulder measurement, the same thing that I have on the shoulder line. I'll indicate that with a dot. After doing that, I'll connect the dot on the shoulder slope to the dot on the 8 inches line, and then I'll rule a straight line across. I'll label my lines: chest line, bust line, and blouse length. The next thing I'll do is to place my bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line, and I'll go ahead and add my stitching allowance. After doing that, I'll place my tape on this straight line and I'll divide what I have into 2. On that center point, I'm going to come in by half an inch, as you can see me doing, and then I'm going to use my ruler to connect from the shoulder slope to the half an inch, and from that point to the dot that I have on the chest line, like this. What I'll do now is to start placing my measurement. I already have my bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line and I've added my stitching allowance. On the blouse length, I'll place my hip circumference divided by 4 and I'll go ahead and add my stitching allowance. So if you want your blouse to be fitted, take your waist point. So as you can see me doing, I went ahead to mark my waist point, which is 16 inches. So on the waist line, I'll place my waist circumference divided by 4 and I'll add my stitching allowance. I want this particular blouse to be free. If you want yours to be fitted, go ahead and just place your measurement and just add your stitching allowance. Do not add any ease allowance. So on the blouse length, I have my hip circumference divided by 4. So what I did was to connect the line from the chest line to the waistline and from there to the blouse length. The next thing I did was to take my neckline measurements. For the neck width, I used 2.5 inches for both front and back. For the depth of the back, I used 1 inch. So I'm going to take the neck depth. For the front, I'm going to use 6 inches. So it depends on how deep you want your blouse neckline to be. So mine is 6 inches. What I'll do is to just connect from here all the way to the neck width like this. So after doing that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut. I'll first of all cut the back armhole. So I'm not coming in by that half an inch. I'll use this pattern to cut out the back first before using it to cut out the front. So for the back, I went ahead to just cut out the back neckline. I folded my fabric into 2 and I placed the pattern paper on the fabric. I increased the length of my blouse by 3 inches because I want it to be really long. On the shoulder area, I added half an inch for joining allowance. After doing that, I'll go ahead and just trace out what I have, but make sure the center back is on fold. Okay, so after cutting now, this is what I have. So the length of my blouse is now 21 inches, not 18 inches. I'll open it up for you guys to see. So this is the back. We'll use the same pattern to cut out the front. So I increased the fabric by 3 inches and I made sure that my center front is also on fold because I'm not going to add zipper to this blouse. So I'll pin all the way around. On the shoulder area, I'll add the half an inch just like I did before. Okay, for the neckline area, you can cut it out the way it is. Okay, just cut it out on the pattern paper and trace out the side. So I'm trimming off the front neckline now, as you can see. So after cutting, this is what I have. I went ahead to increase the neckline by 1 inch, so it is 7 inches for the front. Okay, so this is what I have after cutting. The next thing I'll do is to cut out facing. I folded this piece of fabric into 2. I'm just going to trace out the neckline. This is what I'll use to pipe my neckline. So I'm going to place them right side facing right side. I'll go ahead and sew. After sewing, I'll use my hemming gum to just hold everything together. But before sewing, I'll just trim off this part of the facing just so it looks neat on the other side. Okay, after doing that, I'll just sew and use my hemming gum to hold everything down. After sewing the neckline in place, this is what I have on the right side and this is what it looks like on the wrong side. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to join both front and back piece together. I'm going to place them right side facing right side. I'll join the shoulders together, and then I'll cut out my sleeves. For the sleeves, the length of my sleeves is about 15 inches and the wideness of this fabric is about 41 inches. That's how full my sleeves will be. I'll gather the upper part and I'll create channel on the base for my elastic band to pass through. So I've sewn the shoulders in place and this is what I have. Next thing I'll do is to attach my sleeves. To do that, I'll open the armhole area and then I'll bring my sleeves that I've already arranged. So I ran a gather stitch on the upper part of the sleeves, and for the base I inserted my elastic band. So I'm going to notch the center of the sleeves and I'll place it to the center of the blouse, that is the joint area on the shoulders. I'm going to join them like this and I'll pin. After pinning, I'll just arrange in place and I'll head over to my sewing machine to sew all the way around, and I'll repeat the same thing for the other sleeves. After sewing my sleeves in place, this is what it looks like on the wrong side. So what I'll do is to flip my blouse back to the right side, okay? So I forgot to mention that if you want your blouse to be fitted, you can go ahead and add zipper allowance to the back, just so you're able to fix your zipper to the back, or you can fix your zipper on the side. After arranging my blouse, I went ahead to use my stitching allowance to sew from the sleeves area down to the base of the blouse. The next thing I'll do now is to notch the neckline on the back. I'm notching the center. I folded the back neckline into two and I notched the center. After doing that, I'm going to fold the neckline like this, the back facing the back and the front facing the front. As you can see, I'm doing this because I want to open up the front neckline a bit. As you can see on the thumbnail, the collar came forward a bit, okay? So I'm just going to cut through the front. Just look at the way I'm doing it. I came down by about 1.5 inches. I'm going to cut it like this because I want my collar to extend to the front. So that is why I gave it this little trim. As you can see, I didn't trim the back at all. I only did this for the front so that when I fix my collar, it's going to come to the front, okay? So that is what I just did. After doing that, I'm going to measure around the neckline, both front and back. Whatever I get is what I'll be using to cut out my collar. So I'm going to place my tape on one end of this collar, starting from the front. I'll measure all the way to the other side of the collar, and I'll be using what I get to cut out my collar. Okay, so after measuring, I got about 12.5 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out another piece of fabric that is about 12.5 inches. You can see this is wider than 12.5. So I'm going to fold it into two. So you are going to determine the height of your collar. So I'll be using this old fabric. I'm going to fold it into two and then I'll notch the center, as you can see me doing, because I want to iron peplum stay to it to make the collar stand. So this is the stay I'll be using. It's a peplum stay, but I'll advise you to use a collar stay. And I want to iron the peplum stay to just one side of this fabric. So I place it on one side, the shiny part of the peplum stay, I place it on one side and I went ahead to just iron it flat. After ironing, I also folded half an inch on the base of the fabric. On this other end also, I folded half an inch. After doing that, I went to sew the side close. So make sure what you have here is the same measurement you have on the collar, okay? So after doing that, I went ahead to turn inside out, as you can see me doing, and I'll go ahead and iron everything flat, okay? So now that I've ironed, I'm going to fold the collar into two and I'll mark the center. I'll notch the center of this collar to the center of the back neckline that I notched earlier. So just look at the way I'm going to place it. I'll notch them center to center and then I'm going to go ahead and pin. After pinning, I'll just sew all the way around, okay? So make sure the collar is the same width as the neckline, okay? So after pinning, I'll go ahead and sew all the way around. After sewing the inside, this is what it looks like on the outside. So what I'll do now is to fold this other part to cover the rough edges on the inside. So I'm going to fold it like this. Make sure it's covering the one that you already sewed, and then go ahead and sew all the way to the end. After sewing, guys, this is what it looks like. You can see how neat it looks on the outside and on the other side. So that is all for the collar. Just go ahead and give it a good press. The last thing I'll do for this blouse is to hem the base. So you can use your hemming gum to hold it down, or just go ahead and fold it into two and then you sew all the way around. So the next thing I'll do now is to braid the design on the front part of the dress. So this is the 3 strap that I cut out in the last tutorial. I'm going to pin the side that I closed. I'll pin them together like this, and then I'll go ahead and start braiding. If you don't know how to braid, just look for someone to help you. So make sure what you are braiding is long enough to go around the neckline, and if you want to extend it to the back, make sure it's long enough to go around all the way to the back. Okay, so after braiding, this is what I have. So I'm going to bring my dress. I've already gathered my fabric to the upper body, so this is what I have, and I've also gone ahead to fix my zipper in place to the back. So what I'll do now is to fix these braids to the neckline area. So I'll first of all pin. Okay, you can pin before you untack. I want to untack. If you want to use glue, you can go ahead and do that, but I want to untack using needle and thread. So I'll just follow the shape that I have on the neckline. I'll first of all start sewing from the shoulder area. Okay, make sure you are sewing it neatly. I will untack it in a way that the stitch is not going to show on the other side of my fabric. So take your time to do this. So just sew all the way around. Make sure you are following the square neckline. Okay, and keep sewing, or you can just use your glue to hold it down. Okay, I'll go ahead and do that all the way around. Once you are done sewing and you have any excess, go ahead and cut it out and use your needle and thread to just finish up everything up nicely. So guys, that is all for this tutorial. I hope it was helpful. Don't forget to like this video. Leave your questions in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.